In education, I would urge the government to focus on the following areas. Preschool education. You know, a World Bank economist in Singapore came to see me and Michelle, and we talked about education, and they were surprised that there is no subsidized or funded, supervised preschool education for young children in Singapore. Whereas a lot of other countries, standard fare in developed economies, and also quite a lot of poor developing economies haven't got it yet. So I would prefer funds to subsidize preschool education for children, especially from poor families, so that they have an equal start with children from rich families. Smaller class size of 15 to 20 students per class in all schools. Halving the present class size requires doubling of schools and teachers. It's ridiculous. I was a student in secondary school, 30, 40 years ago. The class size was 40. Today, the secondary school's class size is the same, 30, 40. What progress have we made? You should ask the former Education Minister, Dr. Tony Tan, what he has done in this respect. We have to increase the number of places available for Singaporeans in our local universities and raise the target of each cohort students going to university from 30% from 30% to 50%. I think 50% is what most developed countries like UK do. 50% of each year's cohort students will end up in universities. That should be our target, not 20-30% right now. And then you give 20-30% of the places to foreigners. That's not right. You should also ask the former Education Minister on this as well. In healthcare, okay, I would like to see the government double the number of beds in public hospitals. It is unconscionable that until the Khoo Teck Puat Hospital was built, that adds about 570 beds. The number of hospital beds had not increased at all for more than 10 years, despite huge population increase. If you look at the statistics on hospitals, it's about 8,500, never increased for more than 10 years. After they expanded Tan Tock Seng Hospital, then there was complete stoppage, no rebuilding until the Khoo Teck Puat Hospital came out. So what you know, you have the best health minister in the world. Somebody claimed, and what did he do?
Send our parents to JB.
Yeah. Oh, he may depend on JB to increase hospital beds. Increase significantly the number of doctors, dentists, nurses, and all related medical staff to reach the standards of developed societies. Sometimes you have to increase double, you have to triple. I mean, that's why I say increase significant. You know, there's no, because by first world standards, we are still very much behind. In terms of number of doctors per 10,000 population, we are behind, half the way only, maybe 55% of first world standards. These statistics are in my earlier report. So they talk about first world. I mean, back up with statistics. They talk about data and statistics. Where are your data and statistics to back up your claims? Yeah. Increase substantially the intake of Singaporean students in medical courses at the local university. I mean, parents these days have to spend $500,000 per child to send to overseas universities when they could easily get places here. I mean, what's wrong with expanding medical school intake? Next area, I think, just to go through again. The next area is to rebuild neighborhood to integrate living, working, and travel. There's a lot of wastage in the system. The average worker spends several hours a day from home to office and back to home. And all this in such a compact island like ours. There is a doubt need to re-examine how we live, work, and travel. The old practice of zoning according to use is outmoded and should be discarded, particularly when there are hardly any dirty or noisy industries of significance in Singapore. In the past, we have Jurong industries and all that, you know. Then you have to travel all the way from the east to the west, have to work and then come back. I think this zoning concept is outdated already. You have integrated housing, integrated working patterns all over the world. And I suggest that we should integrate all these things. Living, houses, jobs, offices, shopping, all the facilities should be integrated together in the same neighborhood. And I think we should build more business parks so that offices in the neighborhood for people to go to hospitals in neighborhoods. You know, you don't have no need to have 500, 600 beds per hospital. You can have 200-300 beds per hospital. They say not so efficient. They say the study shows 600 bed hospitals is most efficient. But efficiency is, how do they look at efficiency? They should look at efficiency from the point of patients as well. We want it to be near to our homes. We want to be easy to reach hospital, not in 1 hour and not in 30 minutes as the former health minister promised, but maybe in 15 minutes. I mean, what's wrong with hospitals in our backyard? Sorry. I repeat, what's wrong with having hospitals in our backyards? Right? 15 minutes we reach the hospitals. Oh, you can have a 600-bed hospital, very efficient, but in the West Coast. But what in Jurong? What's the point for us in the East? Next step is creative industries. However much we laid out the infrastructure of the systems, it is ultimately individual Singaporeans who matter most, as they are the ones who will generate the ideas and the long-term income to keep this place going. We must release the creative energies of the young by helping them to start their own business ventures, particularly in the creative industries. These creative industries are a key component of the knowledge-based economy and are the industries of the 21st century in which our young, well-educated and well-traveled Singaporeans can excel. We should support and propel them to the world stage by giving them grants of $1 million each to each startup. They may well become our own Googles, Facebooks and Baitus. After all, these giants also began as small startups. I propose putting aside an initial sum of $10 billion, which will create 10,000 startups over the next 5 years, who will together hire at least 20,000 to 30,000 staff and generate business for hundreds of firms, providing support services such as accounting, corporate secretary and legal advice. These new jobs will come in handy in view of the coming slowdown in the economy. But far more important is the enterprise culture that will be created. Singaporeans, by and large, have done well as employees of large corporations, earning good salaries and a steady lifestyle. However, it holds back the development of entrepreneurial leadership, which is what is needed to propel Singapore to a higher level of business development. We must wean Singaporeans away from a culture of steady employment so that they will become courageous in taking risks. In recent years, many GLCs have paid huge bonuses to senior managers that are out of sync with fair notions of risk-taking. They took risks with shareholders' money, a large portion of which come from taxpayers, got paid humongous bonuses on the back of profits, but still kept their jobs when huge losses were made. This asymmetry in risk-reward relationship cannot continue, as it violates our moral sense of fairness and meritocracy. If elected as president, I will put this right through my veto power over appointments of key office holders. I will make my position clear in no uncertain terms to all who come before me for confirmation of their appointment. But ultimately, the real effective way to promote an enterprise culture among Singaporeans is for the government to stay out of business. There had been calls, loud calls, as far back as 1980s for the government to withdraw from businesses that the private sector can undertake. There was also an official committee, the Divestment Committee, I think headed by Mr. Michael Pham, who I believe in 1986 put forth certain recommendations in this respect. However, instead of a lesser role, there are now more visible signs of government involvement and influence in private business. This is not healthy for the long-term development of businesses in Singapore, as the bigger and well-supported GLCs can crowd out private entrepreneurs. Private businesses should be in private hands, dipping into their own pockets to fund their business operations, not in the hands of government officials using the public purse. I will encourage the government to divest its ownership of shares and influence in GLCs so as to promote fair and genuine competition. Private entrepreneurs who have the funds and expertise can own and run these GLCs without government help or favor. I am in favor of ultimately disbanding Temasek Holdings to allow private enterprise to take over and create a new buzz for Singapore. This is what Singaporeans want for their country's future, where creativity and enterprise spring forth to enliven and enrich their personal lives. As President, I will stretch out my helping hand. Thank you.